Congratulations. I think this is fantastic to see so many young people and the enthusiasm and this beautiful sort of jula, walls outside, elements outside. I'm just going to sort of flood you with a lot of pictures really to explain. I'm talking more on context and why it's important. Well, you figure out why it's important. I'll just tell you our sort of interpretation. And this is what I think is so inspiring. He put everything in context, including where he lived in Wardha, one of the most beautiful buildings I have seen anywhere. The material all came from within 5-10 kilometers. So context is also sustainable. But to me it means it has to be inclusive, it has to be timeless, holistic, cultural, economical, crafted, durable, local, well, perhaps even global. You can't exclude that. You will be local, you will be global. And I think you have to simple. We live in very, very complex times. We also live in a very rich, culturally rich country. That's Kerala for you, a building there, a temple. In Orissa, stonework in Orissa, Banaras, this is all culture. And this is what brings the context together. A little street actually just outside in Haryana, before Alwar, so it's really outside Delhi. A little hut in the middle of Madhya Pradesh, there's a person living there. We learn from them, I hope. So this is some sampling going on in our office of rammed earth walls, and in between is a sample. You see the stages of wattle and daub, where we use some rope to make the base, start plastering with earth, and that's what the finished product looks like. So it's now getting translated onto the site. This is a campus we are designing for the Center for Science and Environment in Rajasthan on the way to Alwar. So these are the first set of buildings coming up, which are the guard houses and the temporary storage buildings. Found quality, there was some bamboo lying around with me. We sent it to the site, so the roof structures coming up, it will be done in thatch, which is the local material. So we begin with a project in bamboo, a small house with a thatch roof that you can see on top. This was done by me and Simon Velez together as a collaboration. During construction. And we are using bamboo. This is what Simon taught us, and we've sort of taken it forward. To use bamboo as an engineered material, have bigger spans. I'm going to show you a project which is huge. That's then ferro cement on top being applied. And you've seen the finished images earlier. A second project, which is in Madhya Pradesh, in Bandhavgarh. This is what it looks like. And here it was a matter of the materials and the language. And the language came from a village 1 kilometer away called Mardari. Beautiful tradition of working with plaster, relief work, decoration. Very humble, modest buildings, but so elegant. Tremendous use of color, texture, and the market around. That brought the project in a context where we use the local sal timber for the main structure. Also for things like railings, the leftover pieces. And the tiles were again made available locally within 2 kilometers from the site, which is also part of the local tradition. So you see the new and old, the existing and what we did, and it sort of blends seamlessly. To do something, anything more stronger, contemporary, would have been so out of place in a very, very sort of rural setting. We also use a lot of craft, so you can see Gond artists from the region were brought in to paint these walls. I don't know if I have a picture of the wash basin. These came from Rajasthan, rather than buying something out of an Italian ceramic factory, which cost probably twice as much. Generated jobs, it's in marble using local motifs. These are the verandas, local textiles, a third project. This is a collaboration, our office, Sanjay Prakash, Simon Welles. So we sourced the bamboo from the forests in China, a place called Anji. The Chinese government has developed a whole bamboo culture and park there for industry. A person who used to make chopsticks and slats for blinds was found, who treated the bamboo for us in these, and we needed to curve the bamboo, so we figured out there. And this is the structure coming up, the world's largest dome ever made in bamboo, 35 meters dia. That's during construction, and it's tall, and in winters I had to climb up, and there was no safety gear, so quite scary. You get some idea of the scale. And that's the finished thing with the green roof on top. And that's an image of the interior. We also did a plaza inside inspired by Dilli Haat, where a lot of people would gather, and it did become quite successful. There are sort of food shops around, and the pattern here, this pavilion was meant to represent India, so we took elements from various places. The dome form came from Sanchi, and the plaza is from the gardens at Ramnagar in Varanasi, just across Varanasi. That's an aerial shot. We also think placemaking also needs to be contextual. That's a plaza at Baba Khadak Singh Marg, which we had written about maybe a decade back, which used to be a morning flower market. And unfortunately, the government has now shut that down and moved them to Gazipur. That's the plaza. That's a plaza in Delhi University. This used to be a road with a lot of cars parked out, so it's become a pedestrian place. And the context here is students. They need a place where they can meet, they can sit and talk and not be overrun by cars. And that was a small project, but I think quite successful. We also talked one of India's best known sculptors, Dhruva Mistry, to do two large pieces, which he did at a very, very low cost because it was for a university. This is Dilli Haat, part of our placemaking efforts, Garden of Five Senses. So again, what you have to do is try and capture what is here. And Delhi being the edge of the stone culture, which comes from Rajasthan, we used a lot of stone here. The elephants were made at site based on sketches made in the studio. These are some ghats we did in Nanded on the river Godavari. And on top are these plazas where people sit outside the Gurdwara. Nanded in Maharashtra is actually a Gurdwara town. Another project, a master plan in Varanasi at Asighat. I'm not elaborating on each, I would rather just take a lot of images through you and you'll have to interpret a lot of it yourself. The other thing we do is design streets, which is the most important design challenge and the need in this country. Not everywhere, but we really need them. These are very, very complex exercises and they perform very complex functions. And this is what we've made. We, as designers, have not been putting our effort into doing this. And it is chaos. It's a free-for-all. That's at just at the edge of Daryaganj, before Red Fort. It's a miracle that our traffic moves. We complain about congestion, but I think a lot of responsibility is ours. And this is context. We are really not looking at our streets contextually. A process, I think I'll skip that. The key is to plan for everybody. Pedestrians, cyclists, hawkers, planting, treating water, and no matter what the width of a street can accommodate everything, is what we've seen. We've worked on streets from 9-meter width to 60-meter widths. We've looked at junctions, you know. This is an existing, and you can do this anywhere in this country. This is what it would normally be like if you did a study. You can see the metal part in the center and pretty much a space on the side which is, might is right kind of category. And you can rationalize that. These are streets we did in a small town in Maharashtra, which got built. We did about 40, 50 kilometers of streets. That's another street, and you'll see 18-meter. And you can see how cars are parked. There's very little space to move. So that's what it becomes. Challenging, but a very exciting project. This is something still under construction outside the Old Delhi station, where the first bit is the cycle rickshaw lanes have come into place. Important is to save people. We probably have the most number of pedestrians or actually road deaths in the world. A lot of details are required, but then it does matter to a city. It's also the image. It's what everybody uses, the most democratic space that you can have. We are even trying to sort of have micro sewer systems along roads so that you start decentralizing systems. So some streets around the walled city, this was for Amritsar. And then the last project is a conservation context. And this is a bit controversial because there's a house from Kerala which I moved to a place just outside Gurgaon. It's 300 years old. The owner lives in America and he wanted to really sell his land, but he was really attached to the house. So I bought it off him at a very low cost. And you would say, well, from Kerala to Gurgaon, how does that make it contextual? I think it does. It was next to a river. We found a team of carpenters who dismantled the house. It had no nails, only joints. And this gentleman is the head carpenter. He numbered every piece. This is when it arrived in Delhi. We built a ground level, which was in masonry. And here it's coming up. The team, nearly finished house, and there you see it completely finished. Thank you very much.